Hi everyone, welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Bethany and we're ranking Iron Man 2 today.
We thought it was Thor, so when we found out that we were going to be ranking Iron Man 2, I texted my fiance and I was like, baby, bad news, it's Iron Man 2. We decided that we were gonna be drinking when we watched this movie, so that's what we did.
It's okay though. We're gonna get two of the lower ranking movies out of the way first. How likable is the lead male and the lead female?
This is the third film, but we just ranked Iron Man like not too long ago, so it's gonna be interesting to see how much these scores change.
For both the characters, I gave them a 2.
I gave Pepper Potts a 1, again.
I think that Pepper Potts came up a little bit for me.
She's more boring in this film than she is in the first film.
Coming into her own as the CEO of Stark Enterprises, she gained a little more strength for me just in that position alone. She wasn't simply Iron Man's fixer and his prop and his secretary. She had a really big job and a really big responsibility in her own right.
Iron Man, he went up in this one. I gave Iron Man a 3. He's kind of badass in this one.
I almost went into the badass realm for him.
He makes a new element. He's a badass.
I don't think he's earned badass status yet. I know he gets there. Lead male and lead female bangability.
Do I want to bang Iron Man more in this one than I did in the first one? No, I don't.
Big surprise there.
He still gets a 0.
A 3. I still feel like he can teach me a thing or two.
I just want you to know that saying that kind of makes me look bad. It just does.
God knows, we all know he's experienced, so he's probably not going to be boring. I mean, you got to give the man some credit. If you think he's a badass,
He's also got palladium sickness in this, and you don't know if that's contagious. Pepper Potts still gets a 1.
I'm sorry, Pepper Potts. You might be cooler in your new job title, but I still don't want to have sex with you. So she got a 0 for me.
Lead male, lead female, relatability.
I still gave them both a 2.
I gave Iron Man a 2, and I gave Pepper Potts a 1. Pepper Potts went down, and Iron Man went up. They kind of swapped for me in this category.
The villain. It was a topic of conversation for my fiance and I to decide who the villain really was. Because you have Sam Rockwell's character, the Hammer, who does appear to be sort of like this overriding from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, sort of mastermind competition with Stark.
The villain we decided on was Whiplash. Basically, if you had the ultimate fight with the heroes, that's the villain. That's who's going to be the main villain. So what's the villain's end goal? His end goal is basically to destroy Iron Man and the Tony Stark legacy, the Stark legacy as it is.
Who does the villain's end goal really affect? One. It's Tony Stark. That's it.
How strong is the villain compared to hero?
I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2.
I begrudgingly gave it a 2.
He's just as equal as the hero because he's pretty smart. I mean, to build his own arc reactor out of scraps.
I just felt as a character, he was so one-dimensional and uninteresting that it kind of feels wrong to say that he's equal to Tony Stark.
Do you care about the villain? No, 0.
Not at all.
Villain bangability. It's a 0. It's no thanks. I'm good.
Still haven't met a villain I want to bang, so no thanks. I'm good.
Side characters. Based on Bethany's suggestion from the last video, we have changed our rankings for side characters. We have changed how we score it. Instead of taking the average of the score, we are now adding each side character score to the total.
As you might remember, side characters have always been a big thing with me. I really think that they can really fuel a movie and a story and really bring a lot more to it. We have 3 main side characters in this. First and foremost, we have Justin Hammer. He didn't rank on our villain thing, but we recognized that he was too big of a character not to rank in some fashion, so he made it onto our side characters.
That was an idea from my fiance. I was going to make him out of this, but you know, she won. I won the dog one. She overrided me, and I agreed with her logic, and she wins the hammer one.
You can't cut out Sam Rockwell.
You cannot cut out Sam Rockwell.
He earns a 1. I think the plot has some holes without him.
And I agreed. I gave him a 1 as well.
For Rhodey, or War Machine.
War Machine went up in this one.
I gave him a 2.
I gave him a 1. I said the plot has some holes without him.
But I really enjoyed the banter between Robert Downey Jr. and Don Cheadle. I already like Iron Man. Don't get me wrong. We're on his side at this point in the Iron Man franchise.
For sure.
But he becomes even better with War Machine.
I actually think that your score is probably better. I'm not going to change my score, but I think that, you convinced me that, that your scoring might be better in this one. Now, Black Widow. Black Widow got the highest score I've ever given a side character to date. She got a 4.
I gave Black Widow a 4.
4 is the movie becomes barely watchable if you take her out of the film. And to me, I mean, she was the star of this film.
She brought empowerment. She brought a female to the presence of the movie that was not just a male prop, but she's actually her own person with her own strength and her own agenda.
The fight scenes with her were the best fight scenes in the film.
All around, her introduction in this movie was the saving grace for the film. Next up is plot. I gave the plot a 1.
Because it was so boring, and because there were some unnecessary plot elements, I had to give it a 0. I couldn't give it a 1. Female empowerment.
Yes!
What role did women play in this movie?
I gave this a 3 for Black Widow.
Last time we disagreed on this one, I gave it a 0. I thought it was almost a negative in the first Iron Man. Pepper Potts pushes the button, but other than that, I gave it a 2. It almost got a 3, but some things knocked down the score to bring it down to a 2. Now what's a 2 is, there are some moments where a girl kicks ass.
I said without a strong move from a female that the victory would not have occurred.
Black Widow kicks some ass. She kicks Happy's ass. She kicks a bunch of agents' ass at the Hammer facility, and Happy only gets one, and he's super happy about it, and he sees everyone else, destroyed from Black Widow.
She's strong, and in every way, is a strong character, strong physically.
There were some things that brought down the score for me. And right away, we start off with Tony Stark and a bunch of cheerleaders in the Stark Expo. And again, they're making this movie very, very sexualized. Women are there for props and to look pretty. And I thought, oh God, here we go again.
I also thought that in the grand scheme of the movies that we've seen so far, this was the first one where a woman is kicking butt. Where a woman's sexual attractiveness is not something she's a victim of, but something that she uses.
Soundtrack, high score again. Got a 3. Some of the songs were the driving force behind the scenes.
I gave the soundtrack a 2. I believe this was also the same score I gave the first Iron Man. I said there are a couple songs in here that get you motivated, get you pumped up. Humor.
Yeah.
So this was surprising for us.
Very surprising.
Humor got a high score. I gave the first Iron Man only a humor score of 12. I gave this one a 25.
I gave it a 24. I gave Iron Man a 20. And the majority of this humor was packed into the first half and the last half of the film. That one middle we talked about is so boring.
Part of the humor is so great in the first and the end and the last part of the movie because that's when we're really focused on Iron Man, War Machine, Pepper Potts, Black Widow even. And those 4 characters bring in a lot of humor. With Sam Rockwell, they had an actor in the villain category who could have potentially brought in some great humor, but he needed someone to play with.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Whiplash has no humor. Visual effects.
Visual effects, I gave it 2.
I said that there were a couple scenes that looked pretty cool, so I gave visual effects a 2.
When he creates the new element and he throws it all up and he's just surrounded by all these blue dots. It sounds stupid when I say it, but if you look at it, it's actually pretty cool.
Love Story. I gave Love Story a 1. It actually increased for me. I went from a 0 to a 1. I think that this love story now helps to put a little bow on everything, and I think part of that is because now Pepper Potts, she stands equal to Iron Man.
Well, at least now we agree on the love story. I give it a 1 as well. I think it helps put a little bow on it. But for me, the love story took a dip. Last time I thought it was a little more believable.
Next up is dialogue.
As a whole, the dialogue got a 1.
I gave it a 2. I said there were some quality one-liners.
It didn't take away from the film, but I can't really quote it much.
I can think of one off the top of my head with Black Widow. She comes in and Robert Downey Jr. throws her into the ring with Happy, and she winds up kicking Happy's butt.
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. turns to Gwyneth Paltrow and goes, "I want one." And she says no. And just the moment, the timing, the naturalness of all of it, the authenticity of all of their responses, I just thought it was perfect. Action sequences.
There were 3 action sequences in this one, and I gave it a 2.
I gave the overall score a 2. I said that 1 or 2 of them were fun.
Heart.
I gave it a 1. I said it had a sweet moment or 2.
I gave a 1. Let's tally up the scores.
With my score, I came out to a 62 as my final score for the Iron Man.
And I came out to a 57.
But here's the thing.
We can't have Iron Man 2 higher than Iron Man, because it's just not a better movie.
In Hogwarts, when you're awarding points to houses, you award points for good behavior, and you deduct points for bad behavior.
It's true.
It's time we start deducting.
We gave it -5 because we had to check for how much time was left in the movie. We paused it and we checked, and we were just like, oh God, how much time is left in this movie? Oh my gosh, there's another hour in this movie. How are we going to make it through?
I have to confess, I fell asleep.
You were so pumped in the beginning of this film, and when Tony Stark at his Senate hearing, you're like, I love Tony Stark. And
yeah.
Black Widow, you said, thank God for Black Widow. This happened with a little bit more expletives, actually, when she was saying all this.
I was very excited that Black Widow finally made it onto the scene.
Yeah, and so you were so excited, and then you just all of a sudden weren't into it anymore. And so to have that excitement and enthusiasm, just to lose it, and to lose it so much that you fell asleep.
So it lost 5 points for that. And finally, it lost 10 points for overall boredom. And the reason for this was because, like we said, there's about probably 30 minutes to an hour in the middle of this movie that does not need to be there.
So we got -5 points for each quarter of the film that was born. My score originally was 57, and it gets -20 now. So now Iron Man 2 for me gets 37.
37. Mine was 62 -20 minus now 42. So taking these two, adding them up, and dividing by 2, we now have a film that is 39. We might actually revisit Iron Man 2 once in a while now.
Yeah, maybe. Might even buy it. Might even own it. Right now we watched these. We watched Iron Man 2 and we watched The Incredible Hulk on Hulu. Thanks, Hulu.
Thank you, Hulu.
For showing them because we didn't have to buy them. But we might buy Iron Man 2 now. Thor's up next, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Definitely Not Definitive, and we're signing off.